What's up nerds, it's Zach the Goblin here. Warhammer 40k created the term Grimdark, and the setting completely embodies it, where victory is just slowing the inevitable crawl towards damnation. For the most part, everyone is universally having a bad time. That is except for one race, the Orks. Orks are boys who just love a good scrap. In their own words, Orks always win. If we win, we win. If we lose, we're dead anyways, so that don't count. This single-minded, almost carefree attitude has drawn many people to the best boys of 40k. So, by popular demand, I am going to yap about some of my favorite things about Orks. If you like the video, please don't forget to like and subscribe, and join the Discord for information on how to enter into our monthly Steam gift card giveaway. Let me know your favorite things about Orks in the comments below, and without further ado, let's get into some fun Ork facts. Let's start with their creation. Originally, Orks were created by the Old Ones, who the Orks referred to as the Brain Boys, more than 60 million years ago to fight the Necrontyr and Eldar. They were originally called Quarks and were created to be apex killing machines. They also used to be much more intelligent, as shown in the War of the Beast, with them being able to construct moon-sized battle stations and actually negotiating with the High Lords of Terra. But now, they act more like me after TikTok rotted my brain.
What's it like to hold the yacht of someone you love? Riz. Did they teach you how to feel? Sigma to Sigma.
With that being said though, they are still very deadly. Orks are tough. They can bounce back from injuries that would be fatal to other life forms. If they are hacked to bits, they can be stitched back together and be ready to fight like nothing even happened. Burning them to ash is reputed to be the only way to make absolutely sure that they are gone for good. An example of this was when the famous Ork war boss Ghazghkull Thraka was just a warband trooper. He was hit in the head by a bolter shell. And I don't know if you knew about bolters, but those shells are big. And as you can imagine, it pulverized his head and turned a large portion of his brain to mush. Now for any other race, this would be it. Dead and gone. But he not only survived, but got back on his feet and followed the mob, holding his bleeding brains in with both hands until he eventually got to Mad Doc Grotznik, who fixed him up with bionics, squig sinew, and adamantium plates. You would think that him surviving would be proof enough of Ork resiliency, but not only did he make it out alive, he came out the prophet of the Wa, and would later become a big threat to the Imperium of Man. Also, Orks are kind of like big mushrooms. They are really hard to get rid of because they release spores upon death that seep into the ground, which grow fungus, creating even more Orks. Because of this, there are a lot of them. And something else I think that's kind of funny about Orks is that there's so many Orks that if they ever realized how much they had outnumbered everybody else in the galaxy, they would just steamroll everything. But they'll never realize this because they're just so focused on having a good time and fighting, you know? Ork technology is kind of hard to discuss because there's no uniformity to it. It is more about trying to build the biggest gun or the fastest war buggy. Really, whatever can help them crump the most gits. It is often slapped together from things that they have looted after their battles. When their vehicles are destroyed, they just cobble it back together and send it right back into the fray. Their technology is just as resilient as the Orks themselves. One of my favorite pieces of Ork technology is the Ork rocks. These are large, hollowed-out asteroids filled with guns, engines, and some more guns, which are used as spaceships by the Orks. The part that really sends me is that when they want to invade a planet, they just crash these big boys down onto the surface. Orks are all unaware, low-level psychers who, as a gestalt, combine their abilities. This phenomena is known as the Ork Wa. The more Orks in the vicinity, the more powerful the Wa. If enough of the Orks believe something, it becomes more or less true within reason. Examples of this are Orks painting their vehicles red because red is a fast color, and then it actually leading to a speed increase, just like the decals on my car. Characters in the setting reference how their technology shouldn't work, as they are just scrap, essentially duct taped together, and that they only work because the Orks believe they do. Now, with that being said, to cover my ass and protect myself from the, well, actually, portion of the fandom, there is some debate on how effective the Orks' belief powers are, or if they even actually exist. Basically, Without getting in the weeds regarding the original creation of the Orks, the idea is that they have the knowledge of their technologies imprinted into their DNA. And neither them nor any of the humans can actually explain how they work, so they just attribute a manifesting belief power to the Orks. Let's take the red paint example for instance. It could be that they just subconsciously paint all of their fast stuff red, not that the red paint actually makes it faster. But the former is more fun, and I am based, so I'm going to subscribe to Orks having belief-based psychic powers. Okay, now that we've gone over kind of what the Orks are about, I want to talk about a couple of stories involving Orks that I believe exemplify them as the best boys of the 40k universe. Let's talk about Commissar Yarrick. I know the Astartes get a lot of the hype and media attention, but by and large, most of the fighting for the Imperium of Man is done by the Astra Militarum, also known as the Imperial Guard. So because of this, Orks fight the Imperial Guard quite frequently. And as we know, the Orks really like a good scrap, so anybody that can give them that, the Orks are really gonna like fighting them. And some of the biggest wars fought between the Imperial Guard and the Orks were the Second and Third War of Armageddon. And during this, leading the forces of the Imperial Guard was Commissar Yarrick. A fun thing about Yarrick was he was actually already old by the time this was happening, and he was about to retire. But then the Orks came and he's like, well, fuck, I guess I gotta do this now. During the Second War, Yarrick held out against the forces of the aforementioned Ghazghkull thraka. He even managed to hold out until the Blood Angels came and outflanked and destroyed Ghazghkull's hordes. During all of this, Yarrick fought an Ork war boss in a hand-to-hand battle, ultimately taking the war boss's head. During that battle, he lost an arm, but he just took the power claw of that war boss and attached it to his severed limb. So already, that's super impressive. Beating an Ork war boss in hand-to-hand combat as a normal human, that's pretty impressive. And then also during the Second War, he lost an eye and replaced it with a powerful laser bionic called the Baal Eye, which earned him the nickname of Old Baal Eye from the Orks. So after all of that, Ghazghkull's like, holy shit, this guy's tough. I like fighting against this guy. This guy fights like us. He likes to fight just like us. He's like, basically, Ghazghkull's like, we're like friends now. You know, not friends. We're friends that are trying to kill each other, right? But we're friends. This guy, Baal Eye, he's sick. So when Ghazghkull returned again for the Third War for Armageddon, Yarrick actually came out of retirement again just to fight, which, you know, Ghazghkull loves. And they're kind of like rivals, right? At one point, Ghazghkull actually captures Yarrick, but he just lets him go because he's like, good enemies are hard to find. And he likes fighting Yarrick so much that he doesn't want to kill him. He's just like, you've earned my respect, so I'm gonna let you go so we can just keep on fighting, because this is fucking sick, dude. Like, essentially to the Orks, Yarrick is so cool to them that he's an honorary Ork. He's like a human war boss. But I love the idea that this old Commissar Yarrick that has to keep on coming out of retirement is just like, oh, fuck, I gotta fight these Orks again. I don't want to do this, right? But then the Ghazghkull thraka is just like, yeah, my best friend. I get to fight my best friend again. He's one of us, basically. He's like the orkiest humie ever. And the Orks all pretty much universally respect him. Next, I want to talk about Kaptin Bluddflagg. So some background for this next story. So there are these group of Orks called freebooters who are essentially space pirates, but like literally the yo-ho bottle of rum kind. They are Orks from several different warbands who have been separated from their clans either by choice or exile. Most freebooter mobs hire themselves out as mercenaries. As long as they can get some sweet loot, they're in. So basically, Ork pirates exist in 40k. With that being said, that brings us to Kaptin Bluddflagg. He is a character in Warhammer 40k, Dawn of War 2, Retribution. In his campaign, he is shot down over Typhon Primaris, and him and his boys proceed to kill some Eldar who he thought were responsible. He later meets Inquisitor Andrastia, who wants to make a deal with him to kill the chapter master of the Blood Ravens. And he is like, okay, all that is well and good, but low-key, I just really want that sick hat.
Kaptin Bluddflagg, you have made quite a name for yourself looting the petty lords of this subsector.
What's that to you? You're one of those inquisitive type thingies. I like your hat, by the way.
I am here to offer you a business proposition. There is a man, a space marine, I would like you to kill.
Throw in that hat, and you got a deal.
Certainly not, green skin.
No hat, no deal.
He then continues through his campaign, ultimately killing the chapter master, who is trying to ascend to a demon prince by sacrificing the entire subsector to Khorne. Oh, and don't worry, he gets his hat.
You sneaky little Humie. If you's not good for a fight, then what good are you? Ha!
And for the final story, I'm going to talk about Tuska Demon Killa. So Tuska is flying around in his flagship Gorjaw. And Tuska, like many orcs, don't employ a Geller field, so inevitably, Gorjaw got invaded by a warp demon. And this nightmarish abomination is slaughtering his crew. And Tuska's just like, oh shit, let's go. So he straps on his power claw and beats the brakes off the demon. And then after that, he's like, oh shit, that was actually super fun. I need to do more of this. So he gathers up a bunch of weird boys and goes to Cadia. Then the defenders are probably like, oh shit, are we getting invaded by orcs? This is not ideal. But the orcs aren't here for Cadia. They're here to invade the Eye of Terror. So they go in right, and they're invading Demon World, and they're beating the cheeks of all the demons. During this, they actually get the attention of the blood god himself, Khorne. Eventually, Tuska and his boys invade one planet belonging to the Blood Prince, a demon prince of Khorne. So they're fighting on the planet, taking heavy losses. Eventually, Tuska makes it to the Blood Prince, and they're fighting. The Blood Prince beats Tuska down. But just as the Blood Prince was about to finish Tuska, his weird boys managed to distract the demon using their psychic powers, giving Tuska enough time to impale the creature between its legs with his power claw right before he was killed. And at this point, Khorne's super interested. He's like, yo, that's a lot of blood. I'm kind of the blood god, right? Skulls for the Skull Throne and all that. This is sick. I like this orc. I like this weird little guy. So then the next day, Khorne revives them so they can fight again. And this happens over and over again. The orcs never getting tired of it and always being like, oh shit, we get to fight again? Hell yeah. Khorne was so impressed by the orcs that he eventually brought them into his own domain in the Realm of Chaos. So in the shadow of his citadel, Tuska and his boys fight against Khorne's generals daily. And this is really one of those few situations in 40k where this is a win-win for everybody involved. The Blood God gets this spectacle of blood and death and war, and Tuska Demon Killer and his boys finally found a good fight that never ends, which just might make him the happiest orc of all time. Thank you so much for sticking around to the end of the video. This has been me yapping about my favorite things about orcs. If you liked it and want to see more, don't forget to subscribe, and let me know what you'd like me to yap about next in the comments below. Thank you so much. Goblin out.